so hot.
It's really, really hot.
We are just gonna be bitches.
We're all that's left of the free-for-all team. Everyone else melted.
Chuck's body is right over there. Max is licking it up because it's just water.
It's become part of his skin. He tried to patch his fur with it. You probably don't know what we're talking about,
Not
but
at
that's
all.
okay.
But welcome to Free For All's coverage of E3 2017. Once again, I am Josh Barnett, one of your hosts, alongside Evan Swafford.
It's so hot.
It's unbearable. Don't live in Tennessee if you don't plan on getting air conditioning.
Yeah, I mean, you have to.
Is it
It's
like a timing thing? Is it a money? I mean, I don't want to throw Chuck's business out there.
Oh no, his air conditioner. He's waiting for homeowners insurance to pay for it, and they're trying to wait him out, just hoping he'll just fucking pay for it because it's too hot.
Fuck that. I would fly to wherever they are and just camp in their lobby until they paid for my shit.
He's on like day 60, so
it's so bad.
Send love out to Chuck.
So Sony just wrapped about an hour ago.
Yeah,
at their conference, surprisingly short.
I'm incredibly surprised that they didn't just finish within the past half hour.
Yeah, a little bit of a disappointing show. As Free For All's resident Sony fanboy, even I can admit Microsoft did indeed have a much better showing overall. They focused on a lot more games.
Did what they had to do.
Yeah, Sony obviously in a position of power, so to speak, in terms of their sales lead.
They absolutely are.
They don't need to focus so much on future games anymore, I guess. We did get a lot of really cool stuff still.
Well, they just went so balls to the wall last year on new games.
And then we got the focus on those new games today.
Yeah, it's not super surprising there wasn't a ton. I thought there'd be more than there was, but
it was still
I'm okay with it.
Yeah, there was still plenty of good content. It was a little bit marred by the beginning. There was some technical issues. We couldn't hear the Lost Legacy, the Uncharted 4 DLC trailer.
Yes.
Couldn't hear the DLC trailer for Horizon. I just realized I also totally should have done that DLC trailer prediction because I would have already gotten it by now.
Let's see. I don't know. The thing that I get is, and we'll go into this more again on the podcast, is if you haven't watched the other clips, we're just kind of doing a small recap of the highlights. I'm surprised that they're having like the major streamers like IGN and GameSpot. They're giving them news to announce.
It was interesting. The pre-show, they were like, So
I was like, they're fucking loaded.
Yeah, Knack 2 got a release date, and Hidden Agenda, Supermassive was,
which is a cool, very innovative new thing, and they obviously are very behind Supermassive because we'll talk about the VR here in a minute. But that's a new game.
Mm-hmm. And it looks like it could be a really, really cool game. It's
Why not put that at the conference? I don't understand that.
I don't either. Maybe they were afraid it was a little bit too similar to one of the games we'll talk about here in Detroit. But I don't know.
I don't see that,
too many of like the choice drama simulators in a way. I don't know. There was still, like I said, plenty of good content, though. You did get your VR justification.
Hopefully,
in a way.
But they're trying. They didn't just say, we got VR last year and 1 million people bought it. Thank y'all.
they showed 6 games, which varying levels of excitement, but I mean, all of them look like they had
Bethesda a lot to keep their mouth shut that Elder Scrolls Skyrim was coming to VR.
Which it really appears as though that control was either controller based, or maybe they have a new controller that they didn't show that
had to have announced it
using a stick or something for motion controller. Yeah, so I would assume they're just using a straight up DualShock, which
I'm okay with.
Perfectly fine.
Give me more of that.
Yeah. What was that? Star Child? Looked kind of cool. It was like a 2D platformer, which you don't see on VR.
But again, more of that. Give me the walking sim that I'm looking for.
Bravo Team was there, which is like a pop and lock first-person shooter that looks like you go from...
completely cover-based, probably. You probably poured around.
What was that original Xbox game that was literally, it was like a team of 4
talking about, but I could not tell you.
SEALs or whatever, and you just... Right, you know what I mean? You just move from cover to cover, and it was all about like setting people up for the right shot. It's gonna bug the shit out of me, but that's kind of what this reminded me of.
It was like very basic SOCOM.
Yeah, but it was real. I loved that game.
Yeah, it was good.
The shit out of it.
I know what you're talking about.
And then
it looked good, but I mean, then we also had what is it?
Impatient. Those are the 2 Supermassive games that we had.
Yeah, that one, a psychological thriller, I guess.
It almost looked like it took place in the mental hospital from Until Dawn in a way. Like the building that showed looked very, very similar, which I could totally see it being like a prequel in a way. Yeah, which I mean, it looks cool. Hopefully I'll come over to your house one day and play that.
Man, you really need to play through like Arkham and stuff.
I want to play Arkham. I want to play a couple of the games that are out there. I want to try Riggs.
No, oh, you can't from my house.
Got rid of it?
I got rid of it and it's banned.
That's fair. But let's get into like some of the bigger games. We're just going to go over 4 of them real quick here. Like we said, just a quick recap before our actual podcast posts sometime in 2018. Detroit Become Human.
Yeah.
Man, this trailer was about 5 minutes long, it felt like.
One day I'm going to finish a Quantic Dream game, and I think it's going to be Detroit.
You should give Beyond a chance.
I really want to.
Beyond is one of my favorite like walking sim type games. These are, again, more than walking sims, but they kind of have that same DNA to them.
They're like a walking sim mixed with like a hardcore Telltale vibe.
And they do have usually some unique action sequences. For Heavy Rain, it was more quick time based.
I can't get into that game.
Detroit, or not Detroit, but Beyond I really like because it was actually a lot of combat with the sticks. Like it was a lot of like you're dodging in a way that like you attack at the same time, so it was less quick time and more reactive.
Yeah, the only reason I haven't played is because of the way our schedule runs with games.
This trailer though, again focusing on 2 brand new characters, Marcus and North, which we hadn't seen before. The previous one was an entirely different. It was Kara, which was from the original demo that kind of preluded this game, or preceded, sorry.
I refer to her as Chick from the Following.
Yeah, and then also there was like the guy who was talking the robot off the roof, basically.
Yeah.
They again highlighted the whole different choices. At one point, the cops showed up, and Marcus ran like a bitch, and they were like, "Oh, this could have gone a little differently." And instead, you took control of Marcus, and he was like, "Hide." And the action looks really cool. It looks like it's a big game, like more than just
huge.
The choices. But
yeah, well, shit, that one screen of the choices gave me hardcore anxiety.
It was like the butterfly effect screen from Until Dawn.
I was like, "Oh God!"
I'm so excited.
That's gonna be like a 50-hour game, and it makes me so fucking nervous. What happened to my sweet little 8 to 10 hour games?
Nope, it's gonna be a 20-hour, son.
At least
it feels like it. But yeah, I thought that looked really cool. No release date, sadly, not even a year, which is interesting. It's got to be next year.
Well.
It's got to be next year, though.
I think like that holiday next year,
maybe, which I'm okay with. Get it out when you can get it out, but like,
make a good game.
Yeah, the whole Miyamoto quote. Bad game is bad forever.
Yeah, that is true. Speaking of though, for next year, maybe later in the year, Spider-Man.
Well, that was the big finale, which Spider-Man is up there for top 3 games of the show that I've seen so far.
Trailer is incredible. I was disappointed, but I understand, and again, put out a good game. I really thought with the movie this year that they had this game finished.
Infinity War's next year, right?
Yes.
So that's.
We're still gonna have Spider-Man in movies next year, but
him having his own.
And also,
movie.
I just thought this was gonna be the big Sony holiday game. Because before this, we had another game that came out that is definitely confirmed for early 2018, and they really specified the early, and Spider-Man just 2018.
Yeah, I thought for sure one of those 2 games would be the fall game this year, but then again, for like 3 years straight, they've announced a holiday game and then delayed it, and they've not suffered at all in sales.
Oh, they're fine.
They've got the game out in February or March, like each year. If the other game comes out, God of War we're talking about, if God of War comes out February to March, perfectly happy with it. We've got Uncharted: The Lost Legacy, which is this year.
I just wanted to play Spider-Man because this trailer was holy shit.
It's Arkham on another level. Like it took that Arkham feel.
It is Arkham mixed with Uncharted. It really, really is. The set pieces of Uncharted, the quick time events of maybe like a Tomb Raider.
Man, so the boss fight I thought was cool. He didn't seem to be doing much damage to the guy at first.
Right.
And then they use the webbing in a really, really unique and cool way. More so than just you've got these like 2 or 3 moves. There's like always something in the environment that you can attach the webs to and use as a weapon or use it as a trap, and then shooting the web on the boss's head and then slamming it into the ground to take him out. And then there was just a lot
of Predator style combat.
Yeah, before that was the Predator stealth mode, which I thought looked fantastic. A lot of like when he kept shooting the webs and like pulling the guy up and wrapping him up like a spider.
Arkham style combat's never a bad thing if you do it well. And Spider-Man is something that adapts as well or better than Batman to that style of combat.
Looks like there's a lot of Predator type gadgets because they had the
little tripwire
that shot a web out
that
and
was
ripped
awesome.
the guy onto the wall. So many cool things where you're just using the web to attach like people or things to the walls. But then when the crane started,
an interesting showing up of Mr. Negative, who I believe I was the only person that guessed that was who that was.
Sure.
I liked that they showed a big bad of Spider-Man, but I guess I got to see Wilson Fisk. So
Fisk
that held me
is
over
in the game
for
in some way. I could totally see.
I kind of thought we'd see like a Shocker or
eh,
somebody like that, but I'm okay with it.
Now you say Mr. Negative, he actually can make you kind of become the worst version of yourself.
Yeah, and they kind of showed him having some type of super blast, but I mean that's whatever.
I'm wondering if you actually have a segment or a choice in this game, possibly to maybe go bad in a way,
like Black Suit Spidey,
yeah,
like the Rage takeover,
possibly.
Maybe just because they teased Miles at the end. I mean, if you can play
like good Peter
Spider-Man,
Parker, or good Miles, bad Peter Parker, maybe
like help bring him in. Like he gets infected by Mr. Negative if he's like one of the major villains, which would be hard to see, but okay with it.
I am okay with it because you don't necessarily want to retread what's already been done. You don't want to retread what's in the movies.
Yeah, and I like the fact that we are not getting Green Goblin shoved down our throats. And we may be, but so far we're not. But yeah. I mean, the Arkham games, the one knock on them is it is always the fucking Joker.
Yeah, there are.
It was great, but it was always the Joker.
There's speculation after this that maybe it's not an open world game. It doesn't seem that way to me because, as you pointed out, the world looks fully realized. The minimap looks like an open world, like a GTA style map.
Yeah, if I had one complaint, and I think it's because this game is nowhere near finished, the city looked kind of empty. When he was swinging through it, it looked like bland building with like a bustling street. I think they got a lot more detail to make New York feel alive. But
maybe
if this game's not due to holiday 2018, that is a very valid reason. So
yeah, but they did, as you mentioned, the Uncharted style set piece when the crane started falling down, and the way he was running alongside the crane and attached like piece by piece to like other buildings. And then when the actual, crane hook started hitting toward him, he again attached that to the wall. And so basically just like in his wake, there's this giant 30-story crane that's just, stuck to the wall like by super glue. And then the whole sequence of like chasing down the actual helicopter.
It was awesome.
It was a really, really well done sequence. I think that they blended, like they went straight from Predator to open combat to back to stealth to open and then to that action sequence. Like it was all seamless. It's one of the prettiest games I've ever seen, just in terms of like animation.
And it's early, and that's what's incredible.
I thought it was fantastic.
I wonder, and this is the Marvel fan of me coming out, if this is more modern day Spider-Man, like from comic books, especially with Miles in it, and this is an older, wiser Peter Parker, like maybe even if you're current on comics, Parker Industries type Peter Parker who has like smart webs and stuff like that. Could you give me like gadget webbing?
Yeah, I mean, I'm telling you, like I think they're going to be high on the gadgets.
I'll be really high on that.
Trey, had he not died, would have been really happy with the stinger at the end, which is like when
he is a big Miles fan.
When half the audience was already leaving the conference because that was the thing they closed, they like cut back all of a sudden, and there were like two teenagers talking, one guy taking a picture, and it was like, Miles, let's get out of here, and it turned around.
I hear a guy in the crowd go, Miles!
Was it the same guy going, Sony?
Yeah,
Sony!
The lone guy, like the slow clap guy looking around.
Guys, right? Huh? All those games in one new?
So we mentioned God of War as well.
We did, and it again looks amazing in my opinion. I can't wait to see this more grounded take on the God of War story while still having a crazy over-the-top scale.
Yes, I'm so much more in on this than I was after E3 last year. And a lot of people were so happy God of War's back, and I was like, that didn't look like God of War to me. And I also had this sour taste in my mouth because I didn't own a PS3. I was poor for years, and so I didn't get to play God of War 3, and I bought the remaster or HD, whatever it was.
Yeah, the re-release
and it was dated. I was like, this game, I can appreciate what it was at the time. This isn't fun anymore, and this looks like they've found a way to keep the core God of War, but really update what this game's trying to do.
Yeah, I mean, it felt even dated when they released a new game on PS3 with Ascension, which I know was like a side game or whatever, but it just didn't feel right. It was an okay game at best. They had that stupid Trial of Osiris at the end of it, which was just god-awful.
I was mad for you watching you play that game.
Holy fuck. But anyway, I think that this looks really cool. I like the focus on his son. I like the idea that IGN pointed out that I was kind of thinking as well is, like, I mean, if he has a son, he's a demigod.
Mm-hmm.
And if maybe it was a child, born from another, like a Greek goddess almost in a way, or a Norse god rather. Like that would be maybe why he can talk to the Midgar serpent, which that was how the trailer ended, which looked awesome.
Badass. That showed us the scale that we've been missing so far going in.
For those who don't, I mean, who aren't up on mythology, I'm not going to proclaim to be an expert in any way, but the Midgar serpent is basically like the world serpent. Like it is a snake that is as large as the world, like being able to actually go around the world. And you saw that. It does indeed appear to be helpful the more that I think about it. Like when it first showed up, the axe came back out of nowhere, and I was like, oh, well, we're getting ready for a fight. Axe. But instead, it does really appear as though the snake is giving you the axe, right? Because earlier in the trailer, he throws his axe, and then he tries to call it back, and it's not there.
I was trying to figure out if he's giving you the axe, or when he came up out of the water, if you dropped it and he spit it back out to you.
I don't know, because I think that they really were playing off like earlier in that, like he threw it and like he saw him.
Because you can't think that they're showing like a later game fight, right? He's obviously got to be the hell. I think you fight him at the end of the game.
It's totally possible they kind of pull like a switch, but I mean, it's possible as well that your son is like one of the gods now, basically, and can.
My feeling is he's gonna ask to like take his son from him to teach him as like a demigod, and Kratos is gonna be like, "Nope, you're dead." That rage meter goes snake.
To full and then fucking murder,
and he's gonna go just fucking ballistic.
I don't know, but man, yeah, it was so cool. I can't wait. The graphics on that game are gorgeous as well. Like,
it looks amazing.
Yeah, I mean, we're hitting that era of this current generation, which it's bolstered by the Xbox One X and PlayStation Pro having additional power behind it. But even these games that are coming out now, like Horizon on a standard PS4 looks amazing.
Yeah.
We got a Horizon DLC trailer, like I said, which I can't freaking wait for.
I mean, this generation's just been, though. I mean, think back to the last Tomb Raider. I mean,
Rise of the Tomb Raider was amazing.
On a regular Xbox One. Yeah. I mean, it looks amazing.
Really sad we didn't get Shadow or whatever.
That Tomb Hunter. Year. That is I call dibs on that prediction.
Tomb Raider.
Tomb Raider.
Tomb Hunter. Look for it in 2019. But the last game we want to talk about, which was the first one that we actually had sound for, which was nice. Also, Sony, stop cutting away to the audience. Nobody gives a shit.
Yeah, Microsoft did it too, but it seemed like excessive with Sony.
So bad. Days Gone had in my opinion, better showing than last year, because I liked what I saw last year a lot.
And a lot of people see kind of all of a sudden, like, I didn't know this was a thing that people got down on it last year.
Because they thought that the whole, like, waterfall zombie effect was cool, but, like, is the game just this endless, like, you've got no limit on ammo? Is it just going to be this mindless, dumb shooter?
I was actually okay with that, but this is a way more detailed game now.
I mean, this trailer is, like, almost exactly their Last of Us. Like, I'm not surprised that we're not getting Last of Us till probably 2019 right now, because if Days Gone is next year, we don't have a date for it yet.
But if we didn't see that.
If it is next year, I mean, you can't also have Last of Us, right? Like, it's just impossible.
Hello, Max.
The stinky dog just showed up.
Poor bastard.
Anyway, this focused a lot more on, like, there was a lot of those Joel, like, against human moments. You got basically decapitated by a rope trap on your motorcycle.
Yeah, you're dead.
100%.
Guess what? Beginning of the game, you're dead.
You saw zombie wolves that chased you the fuck down on that motorcycle. If you get bit by
a zombie, you're fast.
Yeah, apparently.
You're really fast.
You saw a zombie bear to end the trailer.
Usain Bolt zombie is like the ultimate zombie boss in this game.
That's how the Flash becomes the Flash.
That's the Black Racer, right? That
is indeed Black Flash. But like when he pinned the guy against the tree and quickly wrapped the rope around his neck and choked him out. When he got the guy from behind and like slowly choked him out. A lot of Last of Us moments there. But then they also did a great job of showing that you can set traps with these zombies, these freakers that they're.
That was my favorite. That's when I was like, fuck yes to this
game. When he like walked around that ridge and looked down and you saw that the gunshot that you fired or whatever that you made them fire. No,
it's after you got the bear trap on the guy
and
he starts screaming and then you hear like distant zombies. You look over the cliff and you just see the horde coming and I was like, that's awesome.
And then again, you use the C4 to blow out the dam or whatever and all the zombies come and clear that area out for you so that you don't have to. Like being able to do that if it's truly innovative and unique and it's reactive to what you're doing and it's not just scripted set pieces. Even if it's scripted, it'll be cool.
I'd actually be okay with that.
It would be, but if you could really if you could take that place out on your own and not have to use them, I think it will be.
It's going to depend on how big this world is, and I made a joking comment, but it's kind of valid. It's a pretty densely populated zombie apocalypse. Like, there's a lot of encampments going on, which is fine because
Yeah.
it's a game that you want to kill people. So
yeah, like I don't know if we're really gonna get like the Last of Us or Walking Dead style, like it is really desolate, all of humanity is gone, or maybe this is just like a small encampment of, basically hunters that are close to the population because you clearly start in an area that is more densely populated to begin with.
right.
It could just be that it's that surrounding area.
I think we can all agree that we're happy this is not called Dead Don't Ride.
But the dead don't ride.
They don't ride, nor do they play games.
It's just the fact that the dead don't ride, and I think it's a perfectly fine title. Everybody agrees with me on the internet that's watching right now. Dead Don't Ride would have been fine.
Well, it is Sony, so the internet probably agrees with you. It's crazy.
Indeed. But we will give a little bit more in-depth thoughts. Maybe we can, use Zombie Chuck and Zombie Trey eventually as well for our thoughts on our podcast.
Trey, the one zombie that's not fast.
Yes. He's fast downhill, but uphill, he gives up.
He's fast eating a cheeseburger.
That's true, too.
That fatty liver of his.
Anyway, again, we are free for all. You can catch us on iTunes or any of the Android podcast services. We will have a full E3 wrap-up, which is going to cover everything, including tomorrow's Nintendo news. Make sure that you do check us out. Give us 5 stars on iTunes as well. Rate us. Send us comments on Twitter at FFA Podcast. You can also send us emails if you have your own thoughts about any of the E3 content that's come up this week. That is podcast@free4geeks.com. That's free the number 4 geeks.com.
Sure. Or comment below.
Yes, subscribe to us. Thank you very much. And we will see you guys a little bit tomorrow.
Yeah, we're going to talk about some Nintendo.
A little bit tomorrow.
Yep.
I'm sticking with it.
Bye.